What's going on, everybody? Cheers. Happy Wednesday, or whatever day of the week it is when you're listening to this. Welcome to the With Her Two Hands podcast, where each week we celebrate the women who build, fix, and make the things that make the world go round with their own two hands. I am your host, Bogi, and today I'm very excited to be joined by not one incredible tradeswoman, but three amazing trades ladies. We have been here for the last several days working on this van right behind us as part of the charity bill that we're doing with Drivetime and benefiting Maggie's place. If you're not familiar with the build, you're definitely going to want to go check that out. We've done a couple of past episodes on it. There's also information on Instagram and social media and all. I guess Instagram is social media. You know what I mean, y'all. But definitely go check it out. But we're going to tell you a little bit about where we're at on the build so far. But these lovely ladies all work with Drivetime, and Drivetime has been one of our partners for this podcast as well as for this charity build since the beginning. And they have a ton of women that work for their organization, which is really crazy cool. I love, as you guys know, I've said this before, I'll say it again, I love companies that actually put their money where their mouth is and really not just say that they support bringing more women into the trades, but actually do something about it. So by supporting this project, by supporting this podcast, but they, as part of their partnership on this project, they wanted to do a takeover. And so that meant that they brought out 10 of their amazing women who work in various parts of the country and in various areas of the company to come out and kick some butt on this build. And these are 3 of the 10 that have been here. So I figured we would do our live stream today from the shop, and you could meet a couple of the amazing ladies and hear their stories. So we'll give you a little update on the build. We'll give you a little introduction to each of them, and we're just going to chit chat about the industry, what we love about it and what we hate about it. I'm going to pause really quickly to come up here because the computer is very far away from me so that you can see all of us, so that I can be in the comments section. If anybody could, please comment and let us know if you can hear us. It is very odd to me that I have no comments at all right now. So I don't know if that is just because y'all are not feeling very chatty today, or if it means that you can't hear us. So if somebody could please let us know in the comments if you can hear us. I think we're good, or maybe nobody's watching, but that's okay too. People will watch later. It happens. There's a whole lot of people who do the watch later thing. So it's fine. So anyway, if nobody tells us you can't hear us, then we're just going to assume you can hear us. Please let us know. But for now, let's introduce yourselves. Do we got a yes? Okay, wonderful. Thank you, my lovelies. All right. So we've got 3 beautiful ladies here who've been with us all week. Would you introduce yourselves? Actually, real quick, I got to say, this lovely lady, she was actually, you might know her if you've been watching for a long time. She was on episode 120. Of the With Her Two Hands podcast back when it was on Instagram, right? Yep. So back when we lived on Instagram. So you should definitely go check that one out, because like you want to see her before and after, because like it is day and night. She is a whole new woman. It has been pretty cool to see and get to like have you come back out and get to meet you again, right? Like kind of. All right. So go ahead and introduce yourselves. Tell the fine folks at home who you are, where you're from, what you do.
Hello, my name is Ashley. I am from the Charlotte RC. I am a team
lead. You have to
lead.
say what RC is, because these people do not work for Drivetime. They don't know your lingo.
RC is our reconditioning centers.
I
am a team lead. I oversee quality control, logistics, and coordinators.
I'm Shakira, or Shade, as Bogi called me. I also work at the Charlotte Reconditioning Center. I'm a team lead, transitioning into a general ops manager, and I've been there for 6 years so far.
And I'm Perla Chavez. I work at the Houston, Texas Reconditioning Center for Drivetime. I've been there for 1 year and 9 months, and I'm a builder there.
I love it. Now, you all have like incredibly varied backgrounds as to how you got into the automotive industry. So I'm curious to hear, just in a nutshell, where you're at. I want to start with you, Shade, if that's all right. And I have to pick on you for a hot second, because she said, if you caught this, that she is a team lead, right?
Yep.
Okay. So, and she's like using more than one word in a sentence at a time, which is incredible too. Because the first time I met Shade, and you'll see on the first episode if you go back and watch it, she was super duper shy. And the first time she came out here to work on the Iron Maven build, it took me 3 whole days to get her to crack a smile. Like, it was a thing, y'all. Like, I had to work at it to get her to crack a smile. And look at her now.
Yes.
Look at her now. She's like talking on camera. She's leading people. She's managing.
Mm-hmm.
I freaking love it. So how did you get into all of this?
So I started off as a detailer. I had no detailing experience. Just started out entry level. Just took a leap of faith. Like, okay, let me try something new. And I was in detail for a pretty short time until I was moved to distro, which is distribution, the final step of our process. And then I moved to the photo department where we take photos of the cars for our website. And then I did data entry, vendor code, mitigation. Like, I bounced around everywhere. And then once I got to a good spot in cosmetics, I was offered a leadership position in detail. So that was when I came out to see Bogi for the first time. I was a detail team lead. I was still pretty new into leadership. So I hadn't really found my voice at the time. And since then, I've been promoted to a cosmetics team lead. So obviously that's like a different group of people, not entry level. So these are skilled people that usually have more tenure and a little entitlement. So like kind of finding my voice and being able to lead this group of people definitely made the difference, set me apart from who I was when I was in detail. So then I kind of stuck in the cosmetics department, which is really what I love to do. I love cosmetics. And then I was kind of like spoken up, I guess. They were looking for another gen ops manager and my name was kind of in the hat. And I don't know, I've just felt like very honored that people like see like really where like how much I've grown and how much growing I have left to do. Like they see the potential. So I'm kind of moving away from cosmetics and into just like general ops. So I'll be back over detail, over the office, which is a new department for me, and back in photos, which is where I used to work also. So some of it is full circle. Some of it is trying to find my way, navigate through the chaos. But I'm really, really thankful that Drivetime created an opportunity for me and believed in me. So that's the update right there.
I love it. I feel like Shade's story is such like a really perfect encapsulation of what like I think so much of us who are, or so many of us who are promoting women in the trades, like preach on a regular basis. Like, you know, she didn't know that this was going to be her career path. She didn't know that cars or detailing or cosmetics or any of it, like the automotive industry at all, was going to be her career for the long haul. It was just something you like tried on for size. And because there was a company that was willing to give you that chance with no experience. And I think that's like the biggest thing that we see in the automotive industry is people say like, oh, well, there's no women in the industry because not that many women want in the industry. Well, or maybe it's because no women are being given an opportunity. Because that means opening up the door to people who don't know stuff yet, because they need to be trained still, and they need to be brought in as apprentices and given that opportunity to thrive. And now look at you, right? Yep. Like I've been saying that all weekend, but I seriously mean it. Like the amount of growth and the life that she's been able to create for herself just based on a whim. And then a company taking a chance on you and being willing to train you and pull out of you your greatness, which I think is just so amazing. So,
and I'm not going to lie, like this growth hasn't always been linear. I know there's been some downtimes where I've questioned everything and I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't for me. But I just kept telling myself like, I'm on this path for a reason. And so like my path, instead of like going straight up, it's been kind of like this. Like it took me 4 years before I was able to become a leader. And it's taken some people 3 months, you know what I mean? But I'm greater for it because I've been to all these other departments. So in the future, if I want to become a cosmetic ops manager, I've already done cosmetics. I've already mastered cosmetics. So it's something that like I already have experience doing. So just because things don't look good in the present moment, like don't lose faith because it'll happen for a reason.
And I don't know anybody whose path in life has been linear. Has yours been linear?
Not at all. Not at all.
Tell the fine folks at home who you are and what you do.
So I'm a builder. 11 years ago, I was an AutoZone partner. I was selling parts. I was changing batteries and light bulbs, and I found that I enjoyed wrenching. So then I went to Walmart. I changed oil and tires. From then on, I went to another reconditioning center from another company, and I did that for 5 years, turning wrenches, changing tires. And now I'm here with Drivetime, and I'm also turning wrenches for them too. I'm a builder. I'm a mechanical technician there, and that's my journey.
I love it. Did you always know that you wanted to turn wrenches? Like back when you were working at AutoZone, was like, because I know a lot of women who like want to become mechanics, and working at a parts store is kind of like the baby step into it, or like the only place that'll give them a chance. And then other women are like, I started in the parts store because I just needed a job and they were hiring.
I knew that I was interested in vehicles, but I didn't know that I would like the mechanical side of it. I needed a job, and I was 18, so I did that, and I found that I had a passion for using wrenches and ratchets. And then from then on, it piqued my interest, and it just continued on from there.
So I'm gonna keep probing just a little bit before we get to you, if that's okay. So your interest was piqued because I know at the parts stores you get to test batteries and kind of do some of the basic stuff, and it was enough to pique your interest.
Yes.
Did you go straight into a job? Like, what was your next step there to transition? I think people get stuck sometimes in like, I have this interest, but I don't know how to pursue it. I don't know what the next step was. How did you make that move?
So I quit AutoZone, of course. A friend said, hey, my uncle has a shop. You can come over, you can come learn, you can work a little bit, he'll pay you. At the time I'm 18, so I didn't really need a large amount of money. So I did that, changed starters, alternators. And from then on, somebody said, hey, if you go on with Walmart, they'll teach you how to do oil changes on all types of cars. They'll teach you to change tires and that sort of stuff. And I did that for 3 years, and I loved it. And I was like, now I felt like I was ready to actually work on the engines and suspension and stuff like that. So I went to a reconditioning center, and I was there for 5 years, and I learned a lot. I learned so much, and now I'm in Drivetime, and I'm still learning, but I love it. So
We're all always learning.
Exactly.
Side note, right? I've got twice as many years of experience as you, maybe 3 times, and I'm still learning every day. So that is a never-ending process.
Exactly.
But I love you've had like a theme, and there's always that question, like, do I go to trade school, or do I find a job that's willing to train me, or do I find an independent shop that's willing to train me? And it sounds like you started.
So thankfully I was able to just go into there and just have full experience. Many people say that that's the best. You can have certificates and know all the theories and all that when it comes to brakes, suspension, and all that. But I had the luxury of having people that mentor me along the way wherever I went to work, and that were wanting to help me. And I was able to get hands-on experience, and that's gotten me here this far. So.
And you've had companies that were willing to train you,
Exactly.
and individuals that were willing to train you.
It was challenging. I do feel like as a woman, I do have to prove myself a little bit more than the average male going into the industry with the experience. But it's a challenge you have to overcome, and you just have to, you have to stick to your word and actually work hard and want to learn, and they'll see it. I feel like it's people think that hard work doesn't pay off because of the times that we're in, but I believe that hard work does pay off.
I agree.
So,
sure. I love it. All right, my dear.
Straight out of high school, I went into the Army. I was a logistics specialist. I went in basically because it was a way to get out of my hometown, and it could pay for college.
Appreciate your honesty.
They offered, a great bonus. So I went into logistics. Once I got out of logistics, I was offered an opportunity at the Drivetime dealerships. I was an operations advisor for a while, but I was not satisfied doing paperwork in the office. So I left Drivetime for quite a bit to become a police officer. Once I decided to no longer be in that field, I was approached by an operations advisor for the RC in Charlotte, and then I became a coordinator. And then I began my journey onto being a team lead.
So what were we saying about paths not always being linear?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You had like 4 careers
Mm-hmm.
in a very short amount of time.
That's right.
Like lived 4 different lives
Mm-hmm.
entirely.
Yes.
Do we get to ask why you left being a cop? Why that wasn't your thing?
I didn't feel fulfilled. And as a mother, being on the streets, I felt like at that time with a newborn, with a toddler, I needed to protect myself.
That's fair.
Mhm.
That's a very
Yeah.
legitimate reason.
Mhm.
All right. So you all ultimately found your way to Drivetime
Yes.
in various different roles. I think there's some like similarities and obviously some huge differences for each of you. What now got each of you to like here at Girl Gang Garage working on a charity build? How did that come to be?
Well, obviously I've been here before. So Jamie, when she came to our location to check out the renovation, she was like, "Do you want to go back?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, I will go back." And I knew that it would be different because obviously last time I was shy and I was like the student, and now I'm coming back and I want to network more and kind of be a leader, kind of set myself aside and be like, "Hey, like I've done this before. Let me show you, or let me if you have any questions, let me give you some answers or something like that." So I definitely jumped at the opportunity to come back a second time.
Awesome. Awesome.
And my GM actually mentioned it to me, and he said, "Is that something you would like to do?" And of course, I'm a builder there, so I've never worked throughout my entire career since I was 18. Really, I've never really worked with women or with alongside women.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really excited to have that opportunity, and I'm here, and I'm very excited, and I'm pleased with what I've been doing with you guys. So it's awesome.
So a link was sent out for our group of people to vote on who they felt like should be here.
Oh,
And thankfully, my name was one of the top voted. So thank you guys.
I love it. So you said you'd never really worked with other women before. Had
At
you,
all.
either of you, worked with other women out in like this kind of in the automotive world? I mean, I'm sure you did in some of your other. Although you've had pretty male dominated, all of your jobs
Yeah.
have been super male
Male
dominated.
dominated.
So you worked mostly with men. Had you ever had an opportunity to work with other women?
Not until I went to the reconditioning center in Charlotte.
Okay. And you?
Yeah, same. So for a while, like we had women working in the office as coordinators and team leads in the office, but as far as like in the shop, I was the only woman in the shop for a long time. And then we started to bring women out of the office into the shop or out of detail. They started hiring a lot of women for detail actually because there really weren't any. And started kind of taking a chance on other women and then promoting them up to photos. And then now we have probably like 6 other women in the shop.
Nice.
So that's huge.
That's awesome.
That's huge. So thank you, Drivetime, for taking a chance.
Yeah, I feel like it's a thing that like we talk about a lot in when it comes to gender diversity, when it comes to racial diversity, when it comes to like any sort of diversity, right? Is like company, it's easy for a company to say like, "Oh, we'll hire anybody. We're not biased. We'll hire both men and women. We'll hire both, any race, any whatever." But just being open to doing it versus actively creating opportunities to pursue that is like totally different things, right? And I think like the cop out winds up being, because I hear a lot of male shop owners say, "I would totally hire a woman. None of them ever apply." And then my follow-up question is like, well, how many years of experience do you require them to have? Well, I require my techs to have at least 10 years of experience. I'm like, okay, well, then you're never going to hire any women.
Yeah.
Right. I spoke with a gentleman who does a lot of business coaching, working with people on like companies on increasing diversity and whatnot. And he was working with a fire department, and the leadership in the fire department said, "We really love like hiring from within, right? We love promoting from within. We love bringing people up through the ranks. And so we've been really like increasing our diversity, but all of our leadership is still male and white. Like, how do we change that?" And my buddy, who's the coach, was like, "Well, if you only promote from within, how long does that process take?" Right? "Oh, well, like 20 years. From new hire to being promoted to leadership can take like 20 years. He goes, "Well, then you're going to be waiting about 20 years before you have diversity in leadership."
Absolutely.
Because it takes a proactive choice to say, we are willing to hire new people. And we are willing to go to places where like populations that aren't necessarily being pursued for these types of jobs. And I love that Drivetime is like, we actually are going to seek out women specifically to create opportunities for them and give them a chance in an industry that they might not know has opportunity for them. Because You have to be proactive about it. It's not just a passive thing, right?
Mhm.
Like diversity doesn't happen by accident. It happens because of proactive decision making.
Mhm.
So, what's it been like working with 10 women here at the shop at Girl Gang, and for you working with more women now at Drivetime, and like what's this experience been like, and why is it different working with women?
Wow.
Well,
I mean, it's definitely been incredible. I just came back from a trip to Texas. We had our mitigation academy, and I kind of linked up with some women there. And this particular woman, she was pretty new in the field, and I was talking to her, and like we're like the same age, and you know, I'm transitioning to upper leadership, and she's like, she could tell by the way I was talking that she was like, I can tell you're a good leader, and I was like, and she was like just telling me like how much I inspired her. And mind you, I just met her, and just my story inspired her. And kind of the same thing, like I feel the same way like with Stacy. So Stacy came in as our senior ops manager, and prior to that, our leadership was like all white men.
Mhm.
And here we have a Black queer woman just kind of like pioneering through this, and she runs it better than anyone has ever run it, like first off. And she inspires me because I'm like, this is someone that looks like me, this is someone that leads a similar lifestyle to me, and I'm just like, wow, like if she can do it, I can do it. And that's kind of what I want to do for other people, like other women especially. Like I want to inspire them to, you know, there's always a path, and if there's not, then you have the power to create one.
Mhm.
So I don't know, I think I find that inspiration in women that I just don't find in men. Just someone that I can relate to.
Yeah.
Be someone that you needed when you were younger, right? That's what they say, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Ladies?
absolutely.
So I've been turning wrenches for quite a long time now, and to me, it just seems like it's nothing. And so then when I hear other women say like, "Oh my gosh, you do this, you do that," that's inspiring because I forget that I guess what I am doing is greater than what I am, little old me. So
Mhm.
and so it's very inspiring.
Absolutely, because
that was like a whole chorus of
Dude,
mhm.
being under the car earlier, I was under the car for probably 10 minutes on the ground. I'm like, I could not imagine doing this all day, every day for years.
Yeah.
I was like, I respect all of you that do that because
Mhm.
it is really hard.
And it's inspiring. Some of the women here that we've had really want to be builders and aspire to be that, and I'm glad that they can see that they can actually do it. And I think that as long as you set your mind to it and you actually want to learn, and I feel like anybody can turn a wrench. You just need to have all the tools. You just need all the tools.
You
and
need to
can-
have the wrench.
Yeah, you need to have all the tools in the toolbox, and you can do it if you put
Mhm.
your mind to it. If you don't want to do it, then you're not going to turn that wrench.
Yeah.
So
For
I'm
sure.
glad I'm here to inspire some women, and I'm enjoying it so far.
I love that, like, it's like you forgot and you don't like see yourself from other people's perspectives,
don't.
right? So it's like you didn't realize how much of a badass you were
No.
Yeah.
until everybody's like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, you're a badass."
Yeah, you
Right?
are.
And I'll say, I think I am.
You really are.
You are.
You're right.
And it's like it's hard sometimes to just like be on that path alone, right? Like you're just nose to the grindstone, just getting after it,
Yeah.
and to be in a place where like people are showering you with the compliments. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
oh,
And I mean, shout out to all the men, all my mentors from Walmart all the way up to Drivetime now. I have a lot of men in the industry that also were willing to take a chance
Mhm.
with giving me their free knowledge.
Mhm.
And that's something that's priceless right there.
Mhm.
So I'm
For
very
sure.
appreciative, and I thank y'all.
yeah. I want to come back to that. So remind me, we're going to talk about mentors in a second, but I want
Alrighty.
to chat with you about like
Mhm.
you've worked in 3 male-dominated fields.
I have.
Are you just a glutton for punishment? Is there a reason why you're drawn to all these male-dominated fields? Are you like me, where you're like, tell me I can't, and I'm going to show you I can?
I'm very
What's
much
this?
like that.
Okay.
Once you tell me no, I'm pretty much headstrong. I'm going to do it.
Okay.
I like to prove people wrong. So when I'm told, oh, it's male dominated, well, it's Ashley's
Not
going to
anymore.
dominate it next.
That's awesome.
Ashley's going to dominate it next. I like it.
Mhm. Yeah.
So is it different working with a group of women?
It is. I've enjoyed myself the past couple days. Like, I love the teamwork, being taught by other women, seeing their strengths, seeing where they came from. Like, I'm very inspired.
For sure.
Mhm.
Any new skills that you have tried on that you might like to pursue more of? Have you enjoyed anything that we've done here?
Definitely the cosmetic aspect. That was
Okay.
my first time actually filing down stuff, using the filler, and I caught on very quickly.
Yes, you did.
And I really enjoyed it.
All right. Awesome. We've got a future bodywork girl here,
Mhm.
maybe.
Possibly.
Maybe.
Yes.
We'll see. We'll see. All right. Let's talk mentorship real quick, because I feel like that's, we've kind of touched it a couple of different ways. You brought up
Mhm.
Stacy and like the value of representation and seeing mentors, having mentors who look like us, who act like us, and why that's important. And then at the same time, we're also acknowledging that like sometimes your mentors do not look like you and are completely the polar opposite of you. And
Mhm.
we need more good mentors, period, regardless of what they look like. And you can be polar opposite of somebody and still be an amazing mentor to them. And you could look exactly like somebody and be an awful mentor to them, right? Like that happens too, right?
Yeah.
So like what is it that makes somebody, I think like you brought, like there's value in representation, because there is just that like ability to see oneself in somebody in leadership. I think that's really
Mhm.
powerful. And I guess I want to like scratch the surface a little bit on two different things. Like one, let's chat a little bit about like why is it that matters? Like why is it that like when a woman comes in, or somebody who looks like you or has a similar lifestyle to you, why does that hit different? But also I want to scratch the surface at like what makes a good mentor, because you can't do anything about the way you look or the lifestyle you live, but you can do something about being a better mentor to the people around you, regardless of your differences. So what is that? I want to scratch the surface on both of those things. Can we dig in a little bit?
Um,
No, you got it. I was just gonna say one thing. I just believe that most mentors that I've had, it's selfless. It's a selfless act as a human.
absolutely.
They don't think about the reward to it. They just
Mhm.
their reward is just helping you gain your knowledge. So that's
Mhm.
that's my take on it.
I agree with that. And I also think patience is probably the biggest thing, because you're starting from scratch oftentimes and giving us free tips, free knowledge. So we're not all going to catch on at the same speed. Sometimes you may have to reiterate things a couple times, get creative, because not everybody learns the same way. Some people are hands on, or some people can, look at a computer screen and get it the first time. But I think also being patient is like a huge, huge thing.
Yes.
What else?
I think it's important to see someone who lives a equivalent lifestyle or looks like us, because they've overcome the same adversities that we've had to face to get into the roles and positions that we're in
Mhm.
and that we want to achieve.
Yeah. And I think also people seeing past like what you have, like what qualities I have right now, but seeing the potential of where I could be if you were to help me.
Mm.
Just like Bogi, like the first time I came here, I was quiet, but like she really sparked, me wanting to grow more. Like a lot of people have, and I'm better for it. I'm a better leader because I can use my voice. So honestly, it just takes that one person who's not afraid to say, hey, like, I understand you're quiet now, but if you open your mouth, like you may be greater. You know what I mean? So seeing the potential, I think, is always great, because sometimes we have like those children, those employees that are kind of like a pain in the butt. But if I tweak it this way, if I spend time with them doing this, they may be your best employee. Like, absolutely. So not taking things at face value, I think, is the biggest one.
So I think there's something you just hit on between both of what you said that just made me like think of something. And it's like, I think because I've been struggling to put my finger on why representation matters so much, to like really be able to explain that, like why it matters that I do this podcast, right? Like why it matters for people to hear the stories of various different women doing various different types of trades, and why that's important, and how to say it in a nutshell. And I feel like I just got it in listening to both of you. And it's that not taking things at face value, what you just said, like when you have somebody who is a mentor or a leader or a person in position of power who has some sort of similar life to you, whether it's because you're both women, or you're both people of color, or you're both whatever, right? It is, they're not looking at you as just that thing,
Mhm.
right? So not all men are going to look at me as just a female. They're going to see past that and see me as a technician and see me as a whatever. But many will on surface see me as a woman, period. And that's where it stops, right? They see me as a woman, and that is they're predisposed. Whereas another woman leader isn't looking at the fact that I'm a woman.
Yep.
They're just looking at me as a human being and as a person. So they're looking past that thing most people stop at.
Yep.
And I feel like that's it. Like that's the thing is like having people who are willing to look past that. So that means the beautiful thing in that is that means that anybody can be an amazing mentor to anybody if you are willing to look past the surface and if you are willing to look past that thing that puts us in the box that we've all been put into our whole lives, right? Like, what box have you been put in your whole life?
She can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
She belongs in the office.
Mm-hmm. What box have you been put in your whole life?
I don't know. Like, people look at me and they think I'm like super aggressive or I'm super mean or I'm unapproachable. So I'm kind of put in that box.
Okay.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
And for me, it's when I start a new company, they're like, "Why is she here? Does she even know what she's doing?"
Right. So there's so
Yep.
many layers of these boxes that we get put in, and to be a good mentor is, yes, patience, yes, be willing to teach, and it's selfless and it's all of that stuff, but it's being willing to look beyond the box that we've been put in,
Very
right?
true.
To see me as more than a woman, to see you as more than a Black woman, right? To see you as more than a queer woman. Like that there's so many layers to who we are, to be able to see past that and to be a good mentor. Thank you for helping me see that. Okay, I love it. All right, what else? What else does it take to be a fantastic mentor? What can people do to be better support systems for people in their organization who are just starting out or who may be isolated and alone and there's nobody else like them?
Like, not forgetting where you come from, I think is another one, because as we move up, as we're promoted, like to this day, it's hard to convince cosmetic associates to go detail cars. Whole time, like they've detailed cars for probably a year. Like, you know what I mean? So like them going back would mean a lot to a detailer. Like, wow, like this is where I can go. Like, you know what I mean? So not being afraid to go back to where you started. Like, you see, I made a full circle moment. I'm back where I started. So taking that chance for sure, I think is a good point.
I love it. Okay, if you could wave a magic wand and change anything about the automotive industry, about even Drivetime, let's be clear, we love Drivetime. They all still work there,
They're awesome.
right? After all of these years, they still work there. So there's like value there, but no place is perfect. I love the automotive industry, but no place is perfect. There's room for change. If you had a magic wand that could boop, change something that industry could hear this and say, like, this needs to be done differently, what is it?
So I have one. I believe that we need more women in leadership positions like y'all are. And I believe that sometimes women, we believe it or not, we have to work a little bit harder, especially to be in the mechanical side. You have to work a little bit harder. You have to prove yourself a little bit harder to get that pay that you deserve, that, the other employee that's applying as well, which is a male, that on paper says that he's good for it. I just feel like you have to work a little bit harder. And I feel like we should really normalize giving women a chance, in a sense, and actually giving them their pay, because I've paid my dues and I would like to get paid so adequately. I wouldn't have to work twice as hard, but I mean, I'm here for it, and I'm here to just tell y'all that it pays off. I guess it pays off.
I feel like what you're bringing up is an issue that affects women and men. Is like there's the pay isn't always in the automotive industry what it should be. Like, we work hard. Right? Like, it is back-breaking work, and the industry and cars are more and more complex, right? Like, doctors work on 2 models, male and female, and they bury their mistakes.
Oh man, that's crazy.
It's true. It's true.
That's awful.
And as people who work on cars, we work on 17 different manufacturers,
Yeah.
thousands of different models. Sometimes they change mid-year, constantly getting more complicated. Literally, we're working on rolling spaceships, like rolling computers. These
Yeah.
cars have more control modules than the first space shuttle.
Yeah.
and we have to know so much, and yet we get, generally speaking, paid so very little. And to your point, I think often women wind up getting paid less.
We get a little lowballed because you're a woman.
Right? But I'm also going to challenge you on this and say that as women, ladies, we need to speak up and ask for what we want. Right?
That's very true.
We had a moment the other day in the shop. So we're going to tie in working on the build here. We had a moment working on the shop where we had 3 teams of women working on various parts of the car, and the car was up in the air. And I walked in to help because somebody had asked me to come in and check something out. So I walked in and I'm like, this van is too low. I'm like, hey, is everybody okay with me raising the vehicle up a little bit? Because it's too low for me. And everybody, 9 women said, yes, please. I would love for it to be higher. And I'm like, how come nobody asked for it to be higher? Like, why was everybody just suffering? And I think this is a thing that women in general have been taught to do, is suffer in silence and not ask for what we need. So I'm going to push back and say, like, yes, we all should be getting paid better. All mechanics should be getting paid better. But as women, ladies, we need to ask for what we want.
I do. You're right.
You're right. Right? We need to speak up. Closed mouths don't get fed. So you've got to ask for that raise, right? And be willing to document all of the reasons why you deserve a promotion, why you deserve a raise. And if you don't have a list of reasons, go out and create that list of reasons by doing things that prove that you deserve that promotion, that you deserve that raise, and then walk into your superior's office and be like, boom, 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 boom. This is why I deserve this. This is what I bring to this company.
Yes.
Absolutely.
No matter where you work, no matter what you do,
I
right?
agree.
Yeah.
You say closed mouths don't get fed.
Mm-hmm.
So, there you go.
It is true. That is true. So if you want the lift higher, put the lift higher, dang it.
Mhm.
If you want more money, ask for more money.
Yeah.
All right, magic wand. What else? What else would we change about the industry if we had the opportunity? And maybe it's not the industry. Maybe it's the people in it. Maybe it's people not in it. Maybe it's our customers. I don't know. You tell me. What would you like to change if you could, boop, magic wand it?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like this is kind of close to Perla's, but just creating the space for women in general. Because, like she said, giving people a chance, but sometimes if they don't feel safe, if they don't feel comfortable, like they're never going to be what you want them to be. You give them the opportunity, give them the space, give them the support that they need, and they'll grow into anything you need. So definitely creating a space.
A space or maybe a mentorship just for women at Drivetime.
That's cool. That'd be cool.
Yep.
And I feel a little bit like that's what they're doing with this, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
none of these ladies knew each other before this build, right? Like y'all are from totally different parts of the country, different parts of the business. They've not met each other. And I think that's, in a sense, what Drivetime is trying to do with these groups is like bringing you all out here to get to know each other. Because I feel like I've always said that as a mechanic, my most valuable tool, and I think it's not just as a mechanic, I think it's really any job. My most valuable tool, I have thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of tools, but my most valuable tool is my phone book. It's like it's knowing all of you, right? It's the people that I can call up when I've had a bad day. It's the people who I can call up when I'm working on a model of car that I've never worked on and I need somebody to be like, have you ever done this? How the heck do I get this dang clip out, right? Like, what do I do here?
Yep.
It's the resources and the network that we have. And as women and as minorities in our industry and in our space, sometimes our Rolodex isn't quite as big. And so having this connection, this is the retention piece, right? Like we can talk about attracting women to the industry all day long, but if we don't create that space for them, right? If we don't create those opportunities for them to get to know each other and support one another and have allies and teammates, even if they're like 100 miles away or thousands of miles away, then we won't stay. I'm curious. You said that there were times when you were like, maybe this isn't, maybe I need to do something different. Were there particular situations, and I'm sure we've all had, I know I've had them. Like I have times all the time where I think about giving up. Still, 25 years later, I still think about giving up. So like, what are the situations that drive you guys? Don't have to just pick on you here, but for anybody who's felt like giving up at some point, what were the things that precipitated that?
For me, it's the workload sometimes because it's a little bit exhausting. I'll run through 5 different cars, and I can't really get anything done because the inspection was missed or parts. Not ragging on Advance, but or parts. But and it gets overwhelming. 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, it becomes a little overwhelming. So then there's times where I sit at home or I'm on my way home. I'm like, man, like I'm tired. Do I really want to do this for the rest of my life? And at the end of the day, I take a shower, I cool down, and I'm like, yeah. And then you kind of you regroup, and you're fine after that. But yeah, it gets a little hard out here. And then in Houston, it gets pretty hot, so the heat can get to you.
So I think my low point, I was working in distribution, and I'm working outside. So I'm working in the rain, I'm working in the snow, I'm working in the heat. I was miserable. And then I was going through just things in my personal life that started to affect like my attendance and like my work attitude. And my ops manager at the time, shout out to Brad, he would tell me like, hey, like your work attitude is really crappy. And at the time, like I didn't see it. I'm just like, I'm just minding my business. But like looking back, like I'm in a group setting. So you never really pay attention to how your mood can affect other people's moods. Even though like they're not keen on what's going on in my life, like I still have to have like a good work environment. So I was like, man, forget it. Like he wrote me up. So like at that time I was on a final. One wrong move, like I was out of there. I'm like, man, forget this place. I don't care. And like him and I joke about it now because like he was doing it for my betterment. Like I know at the time I'm like, bro, he is picking on me. But it made me better because a final stays on you for a year. So I can't move for a year or whatever. But I put in the work. I made sure I was on time every day for a year. And so I was just, okay, well, like if I can come back from this, then I can come back from anything because the odds are against me at this point. And so I'm just like, okay, just I always tell myself, just play your game. Like there's all these other things going around. Just play your game, do what you can do, control what you can control, which getting here on time is something I can control. So I was just like, focus on that. And then, the attitude and stuff like that, being social, that stuff will come. But, I don't know, just trying to see the bigger picture, I think. So thankfully I came back from that low point.
Well, and thanks to the people around you, that's a huge thing. Like, I think often management, I think we're all guilty of it. Like we're quick to write people off, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it goes back to what we were talking about with mentorship, like that ability to see in somebody what they don't necessarily see in themselves. See them stronger than they are, see them better than they are, see them bigger than they see themselves. And create that space for them to become that thing, even when they're not seeing it, I think is such a huge thing, and not giving up on them. I think we're a society that's really quick to give up on people. Like, oh, you messed up. We're done. We're done with you. You're out. And not saying that we should like hold on to bad seeds for forever and like give people a chance beyond their welcome when they don't show any sign of changing. But we need to create that space for them to be what they can be. And then if they don't step up to it, they don't step up to it. But we need to, as leaders, give them that space to do that.
It was definitely a reality check because if I had continued walking around with a chip on my shoulder, like I wouldn't be a leader. Like absolutely, I probably would have died in that role. And I would have never, been able to prove to people or show people what I can be if I'm stuck in the box that I kind of created myself. Like bad attitude, doesn't want to communicate, doesn't want to socialize, doesn't want to set herself apart from her group. Like if it had not been for him, and I still talk about it because he really changed my life. Like I said, in retrospect, like he definitely did what he had to do, especially with me being a leader now. I completely understand.
Well, yeah.
So shout out to you, Brad.
And you would have been like in a chasing your tail, like self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like angry and bitter begets more angry and bitter begets more angry and bitter. And you would have been stuck in a lower position and then been even more angry and bitter about it. And something had to break that cycle.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Yay for good mentorship and people willing to call us out on our shit.
Absolutely.
Because that's huge too. Like mentorship isn't always that sunshine and fairy tales and like cheering us on and big up in us.
Yep.
It's sometimes it's being real. Like I love that you were like, he told me your work attitude sucks.
Yeah,
Like, that's
absolutely.
fantastic. You got to
It
call
takes
people out.
balls because some people just won't tell you.
Absolutely.
Nope. Some people will
It
beat
takes
around the
balls.
bush. Yep. I know those
Providing
people
that
too.
feedback.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
Constructive criticism. Yeah.
How about you? You got a magic wand. What are we changing?
Changing. It would just be the mentorship, having more
Okay.
opportunities like the Girl Gang Garage, so that not only us that are picked, but the other women who are still holding it down at the reconditioning centers can also have the same opportunities.
Okay.
It's funny because
I like
when I
this.
told somebody like I was going on Girl Gang Garage, and they were like, "What about Boy Gang Garage?" And I'm like,
That's
okay, that's funny, but also be grateful that you don't have to have a Boy Gang Garage. Like your Boy Gang Garage is every day.
Mhm.
Our Girl Gang Garage is once every 2 years. You know what I mean? So I'm just like,
Mhm.
I think it's funny that they kind of think like that.
I get it all the time.
Yeah.
Like legitimately, I get people asking me all the time, isn't that sexist what you're doing? Only letting girls in? That's sexist. What about an all boys build? Right? I'm like, because we're doing an all female build here. Like, what if we did an all male build? I'm like, fish in water don't know that they're wet, right? Like they don't realize that every build, 99% of the builds out there are all male builds.
Mhm.
And 98% of all of the shops out there are all male shops.
Mhm.
And I think it's really hard. And I think this is like the heart of like all of the isms in our world, like the sexism and the racism and the homophobia and the like all of it,
Mhm.
like all comes down to like it is really hard to explain to somebody who's never experienced being an only what it feels like to be an only. And then what magic happens when you are around other people like you.
Mhm.
Like that is a powerful thing that it's really difficult to explain to somebody who's always been surrounded with other people like them. And it's not their fault, right? Like it's not your fault. If you're a man and you've worked with lots of men, it's not your fault for not knowing what it's like to be an only.
Mm.
But it's hard to explain that. And there is something powerful about this just in the nature of like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. There's somebody else like me. I'm not a weirdo. Like there's other people like me out there.
That's how I felt.
It's
Yeah.
powerful. So yeah, and we don't need a boy gang garage
Mhm.
because that's like all the garages.
Yeah.
It's like all of them, y'all.
True.
Let us have this one.
Just accept it. Just let it go. It's okay.
If we were 50-50, right? Like one day I hope we don't need this.
Mhm.
Like one day I hope we don't need Girl Gang Garage and we don't need the With Her Two Hands podcast and we don't need things that celebrate and specifically call out women in the trades because that we're all like just trades people.
Mhm.
Yep.
That's the goal. But the reality is we're not right now. So we need this still.
So we're trying to normalize it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I love how much of your stuff is coming back to mentorship and support.
Mhm.
And I think that's just such an important point to really drive home to everybody who's watching, whether you're in the automotive industry, whether you're in a different trades industry, or whether you're in something completely unrelated, you work retail, you work in the culinary arts, I don't care, whatever it is, right? No matter
Mhm.
where you work, no matter what you do, no matter what type of profession you're in, creating space, seeing people bigger, being good mentors, that determines whether your employees are going to be successful or not, right? And whether young people are going to be successful in a career, whether they're going to come up and find a space and feel at home enough in a space that they want to make their life there, right?
Yeah.
Like if you want me to make my life in your company, make me feel at home there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Create that space for me. It's all about mentorship.
Mhm.
I love it. Okay, so let's switch gears because I don't even know what time it is. And I can't see y'all because I don't have my glasses on. So we only have 10 minutes left. We've been blabbing. I'm sorry. You guys know me. I'm long-winded. This is what I do. I talk too much. So real quick, let's give a recap. Let's give people an update on where we're at on the build. Because so far what people know is that we picked a car up from the salvage yard. Our local you pull and pay is a amazing local salvage yard, and they actually supported us in providing this vehicle for us to work on. And so yeah, literally came from a salvage yard and needed a whole lot of work. A bunch of ladies from Drivetime came out and did a complete inspection of it, and we had pages and pages and pages of things wrong with it. We've been working on it over the last several weeks. We've had 40 women so far have been out to work on this build thus far. We did a lot of diagnostics. We did a lot of figuring out. And then y'all showed up.
Mhm.
So what have we been doing? Tell us, catch everybody up.
I know we did some suspension work. Don't
Mhm.
ask for the details because I don't know car parts.
Oh, you want to fill in the blanks there because you were working on the suspension. So what did we do on the suspension?
Yeah, so we did a full front end suspension job. We did lower control arms, sway bar links, CV axles. What else have we done?
Control arms.
Control arms, yes. Lower control arms, sway bar links. Inner
tie
and
rod.
outer tie rod ends,
Yep.
yes. And so yeah, that's what we've done.
Struts.
We've also done struts, yes.
Yeah. So we essentially like did the entire front end with the exception of what?
Brakes.
Which is coming. We're doing brakes soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did the entire front end. Yeah, not with the exception of anything. With the exception of the rack. We didn't replace the steering
No,
rack because
that's
that was
it.
fine.
Mhm.
But everything else in the front end.
Yep.
Okay. And rear shocks as well.
You also did the power steering pump today as well?
Yes. They did
Yes.
power steering pump and a couple of hoses, I believe.
Yes.
Mhm.
Got those done. All right. What else did we do?
We prepped the front bumper and the rear bumper.
Okay. Our front bumper is a new bumper or a new reman bumper.
Mhm.
And then our rear bumper is one that we found at the salvage yard. So 2 different processes. So they've been learning. You've been doing body work, which is
Yes.
totally not her wheelhouse, but
No.
she's been learning.
Mhm.
Okay, what else have we done?
Our fearless leader also helped out on the rear shocks of the vehicle. So
Very fearful.
fearfully, but she's fierce.
We tried to remove the windshield, and in doing so, we tore the headliner. So then we had to replace that. We had to remove the headliner so that we could replace it. So that was
Yeah.
kind of a happy accident.
learning.
Sorry, Bogi.
That is okay. Somebody asked me earlier today if there's ever been anybody here at the shop who's like effed up so much that I've been like, you're not welcome back again. You need to leave. And I'm like, no. That's not how this game works here. The game here works that we will eventually win, but we are probably going to F up a whole lot in the process. And that is okay because we're all trying on new things, right? So like Perla is a mechanic. She's used to turning wrenches and she was leading other ladies who aren't mechanics in working on the mechanical stuff. But then she also tried her hand on removing dents
Yeah, removing
and
dents.
doing metal work and
Yeah.
learning things that were outside of her skill set. Was she perfect at them? No.
No.
Did I expect her to be? Absolutely not. Was it still impressive that she like jumped in fearlessly?
Yes.
Or despite fear, right? Because y'all have heard me say this before. I don't think it's about not being fearful. It's about doing it anyway.
Exactly.
Okay. What else? What new things did we try that we hadn't done before?
All of it.
All of it.
All
Everything.
of it.
Everything was new.
Everything.
For me, it was a windshield, and then working with other women. So, but it's been great. We're gonna get to the windshield.
We're gonna figure it out. I've been a mechanic 25 years, and I've never removed a windshield with the types of tools that we're using. I've only removed a handful of windshields, and it's all been on BMWs, so very specific. With this a very specific set of tools. So we're figuring it out together, and that's part of like experiment days.
Yeah, and we have each other. So
Yeah. What so far has been like your biggest lesson? Like I've tried to at the end of each day be like, all right, what lessons have you learned today? What has been your biggest takeaway thus far?
Remembering where stuff goes back.
Oh yeah.
Yes. That was a lesson.
Making sure your ratchet is actually working and you're not just twirling it, looking silly for 5 minutes while everybody's watching. So I learned a little bit about that.
Amazing. Okay, check your tools, make sure they work.
Yes.
Awesome. Know where things are, especially a long-term project. Know where things are going to go apart and like where things go when you put them back together. Okay, awesome.
We had an incident where I hammered a bolt and I messed up the threads at the end. So we had a demo that Bogi had to demonstrate to us how to tap and die.
Tap and die. Yep.
Yeah. So and that was my bad. I should have known.
That's all right. We were successful.
Yes,
and
we were.
It's all good.
Yeah.
We learned. I love it.
We all got to learn.
So we don't have very much time left. So if you guys want to know more about the build, you're going to have to follow along at Girl Gang Garage and at Bogi's Garage, and definitely Drivetime as well is going to be sharing all sorts of stuff about the build and about the organization that we're benefiting with this build. Maggie's Place, phenomenal organization. If you're not already familiar with them, go check them out. They're a local organization here in Phoenix that serves homeless pregnant women and helps them support them through their pregnancy, but also supports them through creating a better life for themselves and for their children. And we are thrilled that this van is going to help countless women create a better life for themselves. And so there's something incredibly powerful about women helping women, about women supporting women, and women building together. The slogan for this build is building with women for change. And it is like 100% that's what this is about. Like we're building together to create a better life for even more women and for ourselves in the process. So definitely go check all of them out and follow along on the build. But we've got a final question. You'll know I have a favorite final question that I like to ask. So for each of you, if you had the opportunity to go back and talk to little baby you, little baby Perla, little baby Shade, little baby Ashley, what are your words of advice?
I would say it's okay to not have everything figured out. So just take a leap of faith sometimes. Sometimes they're good.
Don't accept no. Yeah.
Love yourself. Love yourself. You always have to love yourself before anyone else, and also work hard for what you want. Because I mean, the sky's the limit. Honestly, it sounds like a cliche, but it's true. Trust
For
me.
sure.
I love it.
What about you, Bogi?
Ooh. People don't turn
We're
the tables on
expecting
me.
that. Little Bogi.
Props for turning the table. Little Bogi.
Baby Bogi.
The number of times I've asked this question of other people and I still don't necessarily, you all always have such amazing answers. I would tell little baby Bogi that she doesn't need to have it all together. That it is okay to fall apart. It is okay to not be the one that is supporting everyone else. It's okay to accept support into your life as well. And I think that goes with loving yourself, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we forget that loving ourselves also means sometimes putting ourselves first. And as women, I think often we are taught not to put ourselves first. And I'm definitely guilty of that. I put everybody else first. So to little baby Bogi that it's okay to put yourself first once in a while.
Oh.
Yeah.
And with that, we're all going to go put ourselves first. And we're going to go have dinner with the rest of the Drivetime ladies, and party it up and do some more networking and some more connections and supporting of one another. I thank all of you so tremendously for coming and hanging out with us, for meeting these incredible women, for passing these episodes on to those that need to hear them. You never know who these episodes are going to inspire, what little girl out there needs to see it, or what little boy out there needs to see it, or grown-up boy or grown-up girl that needs to see it, to be inspired, and to know that they're not alone, or to know that it's perfectly normal to have all sorts of different types of people working with you on the job, and that's okay. So I thank you guys sincerely for being a part of this revolution, this movement to normalize women in the trades, where this is all just as common of a face to see out in the trades as any other face, right? That it is not a surprise, that it is not a shock, that it is not unexpected, that it is totally normal. And that's what this is all about. So I thank you guys for being a part of that. I thank you for all of your support throughout the years. 202 episodes. Oh my God. Woo! That is a lot, right? Go back and watch the past episodes. Make sure you come back next week to meet another incredible tradeswoman. And of course, every Monday night, we get to watch an archive episode, and every Wednesday night is a live stream episode. So 2 times a week, you get an opportunity to watch the With Her Two Hands podcast. Make sure you hit like, hit comment, hit subscribe, all of those things. Help the algorithm know that they should send this out to more people to see them, to be inspired by these incredible women. Make sure you follow us along on social media. Check out Girl Gang Garage, follow the build, check out Drivetime. If you're looking for a new place to find a home for your career, if you're interested in trying your hand at the automotive world, as you can tell, like all of these ladies kind of came from various backgrounds, but found a company that was willing to train them and give them a chance to find their home. So there's a link down in the description below for jobs at Drivetime. Go check them out. Or if you need a new car or a new to you car, you can check them out for that as well. And until next time, guys, appreciate you all. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. Be good human beings. And we will see you next time. Bye, guys.